antithrombotic. So pag sinabi nating antithrombotic treatment, meaning they are targeting the hypercoagulable state. So pag sinabi nating hypercoagulable state, ibig sabihin, meron po tayong thrombosis. Okay? Meaning to say there are a lot of clots that are formed because of the overproduction of some coagulation factors. So, ito yung mga tinitake natin for to counteract yung hypercoagulable state. That includes Coumadin, heparin, oral factor 10A inhibitors or mga direct thrombin inhibitors, and we're also going to talk about the antiplatelet therapy. Again, I'll repeat, yung laboratory assessment and monitoring will be discussed sa finals pa po. So, ibig sabihin, ang included lang po sa midterm exam are the purpose, the dosage, the indication, the characteristic, except for the laboratory assessment. So, by the way, this is the summary of the antithrombotic drugs. So, dito makikita ninyo yung purpose, pag sinabi nating purpose, yung indication, para saan ba to, what is the mode of action, ano ba yung ini-inhibit, and makikita nyo rin dito yung administration, if this is oral, intravenous ba to, and the half-life. So, pag sinabi nating half-life, how long is the effect of the drug in our system? Then, the reversal. So, as you can see here, nandito rin yung measurement. How do we measure these drugs? But, again, that will be discussed in the final. So, what we're going to talk about right now are all except the laboratory assessment. Let's start with the Coumadin. So, Coumadin, if you remember, na-mention to during the discussion in the coagulation factor. So, anong nakikita nating common denominator sa mga nakikita nyo sa screen? Ayan ay mga vitamin K, dependent group. Diba? Ibig sabihin, kailangan nila ng vitamin K para maging effective sila. Right? Pero kung walang vitamin K, what will happen? Magiging non-functional sila. Ang tawag po natin doon ay mga PIVCA. Okay? What is PIVCA? Protein induced by vitamin K. Okay, I'll put it in the chat box kasi my iPad is still in the process of update kaya hindi po ako makakapagsulat. So, dito, gamitin na lang muna natin yung chat box. So, ayan. Again, ang Coumadin ay vitamin K antagonist. So, pagka may Coumadin, anong nangyayari sa mga factors na to? Nagiging PIVCA sila. So, what again, PIVCA stands for protein induced by vitamin K antagonist. Ibig sabihin, hindi po sila gumagana kapag merong Coumadin. Right? So, syempre, pwede natin siyang gamiting treatment. Okay? So, if there is over or hypercoagulable state, then these are affected by the drug. Understood? So, ang dosage natin dyan is 5 mg daily. Oral ang administration niya, no? And these can reduce but it will not eradicate naman the thrombin generation. So, ibig pong sabihin, hindi po totally nasi-zero ang thrombin natin kapag ka nagtitake ng Coumadin. Nababawasan lang. So, para saan ba ang Coumadin? So, ginagamit po ito as a prevention for ischemic attack. Halimbawa, yung mga stroke, venous thromboembolism that is happening after surgery or after trauma, or yung mga deep vein thrombosis sa mga limbs natin, and pulmonary embolism. So, ito po yung mga pine-prevent para, ito yung pine-prevent ng Coumadin. Okay? Now, ang hindi maganda sa Coumadin, meron po siyang birth defects. Okay? That's why, hindi po siya pwede sa mga pregnant women. So what do? We replace it with low molecular weight heparin, low molecular weight heparin, or dafondaparinum. Okay po? Kasi etong dalawang to, parehas din ang effect with the Coumadin, except that mas safe compared sa Coumadin kapag pregnant ang magte-take. Okay? Next. So again, itong laboratory monitoring, hindi po muna natin to pag-uusapan ha. Kasi po, ulitin ko lang, hindi, this will be taken naman sa finals or this will be discussed in the finals. Now, let me go to the reversal. Kasi hindi pwedeng basa-basa lang tayo magre-reverse. Kailangan natin ng indicator. At saka, why is it very important ba, ma'am? Bakit kailangan natin siyang i-monitor? Kasi dalawa lang naman yan. Mamimili ka lang, hypercoagulable or bleeding ang mangyayari. Diba? So ano ba ang problem natin? Bakit tayo umiinom ng Coumadin? Kasi merong hypercoagulable state. Diba? So, paano naman pag nasobrahan ng Coumadin? Right? Ano naman ang pwedeng mangyari? Bleeding naman. So it's either, ano lang yan, either magkakaroon ng thrombosis or pag nasobrahan ng treatment, bleeding. Kaya kailangan natin siyang i-monitor. You understand? That's why this is very, this is necessary. Okay? Now, among the monitoring assessments or laboratory assessments, mas stable gamitin ang INR compared sa PT. Versus PT to ha, INR versus PT. So familiar naman po kayo sa PT, 'di ba? That is the prothrombin test. So ang INR po ay value which is provided, okay, computed after the PT result. So nakukuha mo lang to sa mga automated test. Automated laboratory assessment ng PT. Pero kung i-compare natin siya sa PT, more stable ang INR. Okay? More stable. Kaya yan yung ginagamit natin as basis for the reversal. Now, halimbawa, wala pang bleeding. Pero, yung INR value is already between 3 to 5. Kailangan na natin bawasan yung Coumadin. Then monitor the INR frequently. Pero kung umakyat na po yung value ng INR to 5 or more than 9 nga kailangan na po nating magbigay, no? Or kailangan na mag-take ni patient ng oral vitamin K. So that is kung 5 to 9, approximately 5 mg pa rin. Or kung more than 9 na, 5 to 10 mg na talaga siya ng oral vitamin K. So bakit oral vitamin K? It will counteract the Coumadin. 'Di ba? Ano bang effect ng Coumadin? It is inhibiting yung mga vitamin K dependent factors, 'di ba? So kung magdadagdag ka ng vitamin K, i-reverse naman niya yung effect ng Coumadin. Kasi available na si vitamin K, 'di ba? Then if meron ng bleeding and it's already serious, so hindi na po enough yung 10 mg na vitamin K oral, no? Kailangan na po IV. Intravenous push na po dapat. And that is repeated every 12 hours, imagine. Then, kailangan na rin magbigay ng transfusion. Fresh frozen. Bakit fresh frozen plasma? Kasi nandyan yung mga coagulation factors. So, i-replace na natin. Yung mga PIVCA, re-replace na natin ang mga normal na coagulation factor, no? Or, you can use prothrombin complex concentrate. Ibig sabihin, yung mga factor 2, yung mga factor 7, nandyan na talaga. Nakakoncentrate na siya dyan sa complex na yan. Or, the recombinant factor 7A. Okay? So, pinaka-effective yan. Recombinant factor 7A. That's why, kapag life-threatening yung bleeding, kahit anong INR, mas stronger ang indication para sa recombinant factor 7A because that's the most effective among the reversal agents. Okay? Now, let's proceed to heparin by the way, there are two forms of heparin. There are two forms of heparin. So we have the low molecular weight heparin, or the UFH. UFH stands for unfractionated heparin. Okay? So, for the dosage, 5,000 to 10,000 units. Continuous IV po ito Continuous IV infusion for 1,300 units per hour. Okay? And ano naman ang action ng heparin? Kung naaalala ninyo, ang heparin po ay cofactor ng antithrombin. Di po ba? Tapos, ano ang ini-inactivate ng antithrombin? Other than the factor 2, it can also inhibit kasi thrombin is inhibited. So, domino effect yon. Affected si factor 9, 10, 11, 12. Right? So, ibig sabihin, marami pong target ang heparin. Okay? Now, para saan to? VTE, AMI is acute myocardial infarction. AMI. Acute myocardial infarction. Yan. And then, for the laboratory monitoring, i-skip muna natin yan. So, punta tayo sa reversal. So, protamine sulfate, So, that is actually from the sperm. It's a cationic protein from the salmon sperm. And what is the effect? So, it will bind and neutralize the UFH in a ratio of 1 milligram per 100 unit of UFH. Okay, 1 milligram ng protamine, ang nanu-neutralize niya na UFH ay 100 units. Okay? Next, let's proceed to the low molecular weight. So, sa low molecular weight, guys, ito yung mga trade name or brand name. Enoxaparin, tinzaparin, endalteparin. Okay? So, saan ba galing ang low molecular weight heparin? Galing lang din yan sa UFH. Okay? But this time, hindi na IV. Subcutaneous injection na to, pwedeng once or twice a day. Kung once a day, 40 milligram. Kung twice a day, every 12 hours yon. So, 30 milligram. Subcutaneous pa rin yan. Okay? So, ito yung mga indication. Again, pwede ba to sa pregnant women? Yes. Okay? Safe po ito. Hindi pwede ang Coumadin, kailangan heparin, specifically the low molecular weight heparin. Clear? This is safe for pregnant women at risk of venous thromboembolism. Ngayon, kapag ka mag-undergo ng surgery, okay, kailangan palitan natin yung Coumadin. Halimbawa, yung patient magti-take ng surgery 1 week before the surgery or kailangan po magkaroon ng bridging. What is bridging? Meaning, i-replace natin si Coumadin with low molecular weight heparin. Okay? Bakit? Mas maikli kasi ang half-life ng low molecular weight heparin compared sa Coumadin. Ang Coumadin kasi, ang half-life ay 5 days. Ang tagal, diba? Ang low molecular weight heparin, 3 hours lang. 3 to 5 hours to be exact. So, mas maganda siya for surgery. Okay? Next. Ano naman yung advantages nito over the UFH? Ito, pwede nang iuwi sa bahay yung treatment. Hindi na kailangan i-admit sa ospital yung patient. Bakit? Kasi, first, subcutaneous ang administration. Hindi po siya IV. Okay? Pangalawa, mas mahaba ang kanyang ano ibig sabihin? Mas mahaba yung half-life niya. Ang UFH kasi, 2 hours lang. Ang heparin na low molecular weight, 3 to 5 hours. Mas matagal. So, ibig sabihin, other than the route of administration, mas matagal ang half-life. Kaya, mas mataas or mas matagal ang bioavailability. Okay? Another, predictable to. I mean, predictable yung magiging response ng pasyente. Kasi hindi po nagbabind sa plasma proteins natin. At dahil predictable yung dose response, hindi na po kailangan ng monitoring. Hindi katulad sa UFH, kailangan yan i-monitor, no? Necessary yung monitoring. Dito, hindi na po kailangan. Kaya nga pwede siyang gawin sa bahay. 'Di ba? Similar ang reversal, protamine sulfate din. Okay? Protamine sulfate din. And by the way, mas mababa ang bleeding nito compared or mas mababa ang risk ng bleeding nito compared sa UFH. Again, we will discuss, okay, the laboratory in the finals. Okay, let's proceed to the fondaparinux. Ang fondaparinux naman, synthetic form siya ng UFH at low molecular weight heparin. So, dahil synthetic siya, mas effective po siya sa antithrombin. Okay, yun nga lang, ang kaya niya lang i-inhibit ay si factor 10. Kuha po, factor 10 ha. Hindi po kasama ang ibang serine protease, hindi kasama si factor 2, hindi kasama si factor 11, hindi kasama si factor 12, only factor 10. Klaro po. Then, dahil mataas ang affinity nito, no, with the antithrombin, mas na papabilis or na-accelerate niya yung activity ng 400-fold. Clear? Okay, another thing. 'Di ba, less na ang risk ng bleeding sa low molecular weight. Mas mababa pa ang bleeding risk ng fondaparinux compared sa low molecular weight heparin. And by the way, ang half-life nito mas matagal, 17 to 21 hours. Isa lang din ang subcutaneous injection nito. Hindi katulad sa low molecular weight, isa o dalawa, 'di ba? Dito isa lang. Okay, 2.5 to 7.5 milligram depending on the severity of the condition. Okay? So, ito yung mga indication. So, pare-parehas naman yan. VTE, AMI, surgery. Okay? So, yun nga lang, dahil ito ay synthetic drug, hindi po ito pwede sa mga pasyente na may problem sa kidney. If the patient has a creatinine clearance of less than 30 ml per millit, hindi po pwedeng mag-introduce ng fondaparinux. Unang-una sa lahat, matagal ang half-life, tapos hindi pa siya ma-excrete. So that is, that will pose a risk of bleeding sa patient. Okay? Matagal ang half-life plus hindi ma-release, that poses a high risk of bleeding. Kaya hindi pwede, ha? Okay, next. So, eto naman yung mga direct oral anticoagulants. Okay? Okay, eto po yan ha, dalawa ang form ng DOAC natin. So, meron tayong, okay, tingin po dito, nakikita po ba sa screen yung aking arrow? Nakikita po ba sa screen yung arrow? Pakibigyan naman ako ng thumbs up or any reaction. Okay, thank you. Isa lang po ang nakakakita. Okay, now, look, meron tayong 5 DOAC. DOAC is direct oral anticoagulant. Okay, so these are all taken orally. So we have 2 forms. We have the DTI. Ano yung DTI? Direct thrombin inhibitor. Direct thrombin inhibitor. Okay, DTI. And yung 4, etong etong rivaroxaban, apixaban, edoxaban, and betrixaban, those are the generic name by the way. Ito po ay mga direct factor 10 inhibitor. Ito, 2 ang ini-inhibit. Okay, direct thrombin inhibitor. Ito naman, factor 10 agad. Kuha po. So, dito sa dabigatran, other than factor 2, ano-ano pa yung nai-inhibit? So, pag na-inhibit si factor 2, syempre kasama si factor 10, kasama si factor 11, si factor 12, di ba? Okay, eto naman, etong 4 na huli, eto ay factor 10 lang ang nai-inhibit. Malinaw po ba yon? So, pare-parehas po ito na mga oral anticoagulant. Clear? So, ang i-discuss ko ay etong si DTI na oral, which is the Pradaxa, that's the trade name or that is the brand name, at ang generic name ay the Bigatran. So, iwanan ko na tong table na to sa inyo. Okay, paki-take note ha, yung dosage, gaano ba siya tinitake per day, dalawa ba, isang beses lang ba, kailangan ba ng pagkain, may reversal ba to, ano yung reversal na ginagamit. Okay? So, I will focus, kasama to sa exam ha, ifo-focus ko yung discussion sa mga DTI. So by the way, may dalawang klase ng DTI. So yung una nga nating nabanggit, which is yung oral. So two forms of DTI. Para hindi kayo malito ha. Okay, two forms of DOAC muna tayo. So una, yung DTI. Okay? Yung pangalawa naman, second is yung mga direct 10A inhibitor. Okay? Tapos, there are two forms of DTI. Para hindi malito, no? So, number 1 is oral and number 2 ay IV. Klaro po ba yun? Okay, so unahin natin yung nandun sa table, which is the Bigatran, okay, or Pradaxa. So, this is directly binding to the thrombin. Hindi ito nagre-require ng antithrombin. Okay, hindi natin kailangan ng antithrombin. Diretso po ito na ini-inhibit yung factor 2. Clear po? Tapos, reversal, nandun naman to sa table, yung Praxbind, okay, using the idaruximab or the brand name is Praxbind. And then, ito naman yung mga IV na DTI. So, wala ito dun sa table ha, kasi yung nandun sa table ay oral. Ito ay IV DTI. So, tandaan ninyo, ang mga IV DTI ay ginagamit sa patient na merong HEAT. What is HEAT? Heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. Okay, HEAT. Thrombocytopenia. Okay. Now, if the patient is experiencing heat, then use DTI. Okay, ano ba ang advantage nito over heparin? Number 1, mas mabilis. At saka kuma din ha, mas mabilis ang onset po nito. Mas mabilis ang efficacy, ibig sabihin. Alright? And there are two drugs that are IV DTI. Argatroban or Novastan. So, hindi ko nababanggitin yung dosages. So, self-explanatory naman yung dosages. So, nandyan naman. So, what I will give you or what I will emphasize are the unique characteristic of the drugs. Okay? So, by the way, PCI is percutaneous. Sulat natin sa chat box. Coronary intervention. Okay, percutaneous coronary intervention. So, ayan po, pag ganyan ang case ng patient, ito yung dosage. 350 mg per kilogram that is given over 3 to 5 minutes until 25 mg per kilogram per minute. Okay? And argatroban are cleared by the liver. And once cleared by the liver, it is excreted in the stool. Okay? And then, another IV DTI is the bivalirudin. Okay? Bivalirudin. So, this is an analog of the active site of hirudin. Hirudin, magkarugtong yan ha, hirudin. Magkarugtong po yan. That is an anticoagulant in the saliva of a leech. Hirudin. It's an anticoagulant in the saliva of a medicinal lich, which is the Hirudo medicinalis. Okay? So, analog po ito ng Hirodin. Ngayon, ang half-life nito kalahati lang ng argatroban. Kasi ang argatroban kanina ay 50 minutes. Ito po ay 25 lang. Okay? Para din to sa heat. Para rin po ito sa may heparin-induced thrombocytopenia. Okay? Now, this could be taken with aspirin, 325 milligram per day of aspirin. Okay, pwede po itong i-take with aspirin. Then, ito yung mga dosages niya. Pag PCI or may percutaneous coronary intervention, the IV is 0.75 milligram per kilogram, no? And magiging 1.75 milligram per kilogram na siya per hour for the duration of the surgery. Okay? And then, after 4 hours ng surgery, dadagdagan pa po yun ng 0.2 milligram per kilogram per hour up to 20 hours. Okay? So, next. Okay, walang reversal agent ang bivalirudin. Yun lang, no? Kung walang reversal agent, then paano? Itigil lang po yung take ng bivalirudin. Discontinue po ang infusion or discontinue ang administration. Okay? Now, let's proceed to the antiplatelet therapy. So, marami pong target para maging antiplatelet drug siya. So, pwedeng ang tina-target niya is the acetylsalicylic acid. So, yan yung function ng aspirin. Pwede rin ang P2Y12. Okay, we call them as the P2Y12 antagonist, dipyridamole, and the GPI. So, GPI is GP2B3A antagonist. Okay po, ang i-discuss natin dalawa lang. Yung GPI at saka yung aspirin. Okay po? So, dalawang antiplatelet drug lang ang mako-cover natin, the GP2B3A antagonist or the GPI and the aspirin. Okay? So, let's proceed. Unahin natin ang GPI. So, GPI, this is intravenously administered. That's your glycoprotein 2B3A inhibitor, which is filling the alpha-2B beta 3 receptor site that is blocking the fibrinogen or the von Willebrand factor binding. So, therefore, walang mangyayaring platelet aggregation. So, by the way, bago tayo mag-infuse ng GPI, these are first determined. The PT, the PTT, the ACT, the hemoglobin, hematocrit, and the platelet count. Para makadetect pa tayo kung talaga bang platelet ang may problem or other factors. Okay. And during the infusion, kailangan nating ma-maintain yung ACT within the specified UFH therapeutic range. So by the way, this is usually taken with, this is co-administered with UFH. So GPI are usually co-administered with UFH or aspirin. Okay po? Then, ang platelet count, so halimbawa, nagbigay na tayo ng GPI, kailangan po natin mag-perform ng platelet count 2 hours after the introduction or administration, 4 hours, and 24 hours after. Okay? Bakit? Kasi pag bumagsak ang platelet count, more than 25%, kailangan nating itigil si UFH at saka si GPI until bumalik sa normal yung platelet count. Okay? Ito po yung mga GPI natin. So as I've mentioned, this is usually co-administered with UFH and aspirin. So hindi ko nababanggitin yung mga dosages kasi nandito naman na siya, no? Self-explanatory na yan. So that is computed per kilogram. Alright? And then, that is the last one under the GPI, the tirofiban hydrochloride or your Agrastat. Okay? Let's proceed to your aspirin. So, ito yung mga nabanggit natin kanina. Ito ay mga GPI na intravenous. Okay? Punta tayo sa oral. Ang pinaka-common, I believe na naririnig ninyo, no, for the treatment is aspirin. Okay? So aspirin could be taken alone or it could be with other drug. It could be in combination with other drugs. So if it is combined with clopidogrel, prasugrel, or ticagrelor, these are called dual antiplatelet therapy. So depende po ang dosage, no? 81 to 325 milligram per day. So ito yung mga indication. Pwede po ba i-take ng mga healthy adult people ang aspirin kahit wala po silang sakit? Of course, pwede po. Lalong-lalo na sa mga elderly patient. Kasi po, mas mataas ang risk nila ng development ng thrombosis. Pero, ang kailangan tandaan, this has a risk of bleeding. Meron po, no? So, kailangan prescribe po ito, correctly prescribed by the doctor before taking. So, ito yung mga co-administered ng aspirin. So, yung dual antiplatelet therapy. So, aspirin could be taken with clopidogrel. Pag sinabi nating prodrug, ang ibig sabihin nun, it has a synergistic effect with the aspirin. Kumbaga parang they work synergistically together para ma-perform yung action nila or para ma-perform yung purpose nila. Okay? So, together with aspirin, this is 75 milligrams per day. Ang prasugrel naman, 60 milligram oral loading dose and continuous at 10 milligrams daily or 5 milligram daily kapag ka mas mababa ang weight sa 60. Pero, again, kailangan may aspirin. Okay? So, ang half-life nito with aspirin is 7 hours. Pero, tandaan po, merong contraindication ang prasugrel. It is associated to risk of development of solid tumor. Tsaka mas mataas ang risk ng bleeding ng prasugrel compared sa clopidogrel. Okay? And lastly, we have the ticagrelor or ang brand name Brilinta. So, similar, prodrug to, ibig sabihin, this is usually taken together with aspirin. So, ang half-life po nito is 1.5 to 8 hours. Okay? So, hanggang dito lang po tayo for today kasi hindi naman kasama yung laboratory diagnosis, no? So, kailangan nyo pong aralin yung purpose, half-life, administration, reversal, basta yung mga karakteristik niya except for the laboratory diagnosis. Kasama po ito sa exam ninyo on Tuesday. Tama ba? Tuesday siya. Okay. So, any question or clarification regarding the topic? May tanong po ba?